Hey, how's it going?
Cold.
Yeah, I know it's cold up here too.
I have to bug out. The irrigation guys are now ripping up big chunks of the yard, and they may need my.
Your expert guidance.
Yeah, like I know what I'm doing. I can get in 3 words. Don't break it.
Exactly. Catherine, how are you?
I'm good.
Good. Is it cold there? Are you cold?
Yeah, it is
Oh, is
cold.
it? Yeah, it's
Yeah,
cold here too.
it's winter.
Yes. No longer the 105-degree days.
No, no, it's really cold.
And now we're lucky if it's 35 um, Fahrenheit. Okay, so we only have two folks today. Kevin has a knee problem, so he can't be moving. Um, so maybe what we should do is I'll put on Yamaguchi,
Mm,
the gentleman who's
mm.
doing the Japanese version of Bunyan, and Catherine, you can just follow along if you want to. Kevin, you can just watch if you want to. And we'll do the first move 10 times, and then we'll do the second move 10 times. In fact, maybe we'll just do like the first half of the second move 10 times. Catherine, is that fine? Is that okay?
I can try, sure. It's a little different than the one you taught me, and I'm not that good that I can adjust so easily. But yes, I
Oh,
will definitely do my best.
well, do your best. The point to me, Catherine, I don't know whether you heard this discussion. I guess you didn't. To me, the thing that's interesting about working with him, now this is just me with my experience, right? You guys don't necessarily have this, but you can watch for it, even maybe especially in the first move, but it applies to every move, is his silk reeling.
Mm.
Did I talk with you guys about this? I
Yeah,
talked with one of the groups about it. Kevin, yes.
me
Catherine,
too.
no.
I
Okay,
think.
what is silk reeling? To put it as simply as possible, it's to move everything in your body in spirals.
Mm,
Starts it starts with circles, but if you move a circle through space, right, it turns into a spiral. Now, when you talk about that is it's called CHANSIGONG. That's the number one signature of our style of Tai Chi. So, Catherine, this is a much higher level skill than I have introduced you to. All right. You really should build some other skills first before you go into this, but you're here, so go ahead and try it. All right. Let me give you a really simple version of this. When you say silk reeling, or in Chinese, Chen Gong, you think, well, it means everything's moving in spirals through the body, which is true. But it doesn't mean there's 12 spirals around your arm and your leg. Maybe there's only one. All right. Let me show you. I just happen to have the book here, so let me show you. All right. This is the illustrated canon of the Chen family Tai Chi. We do Hunyan Tai Chi. Hunyan Tai Chi is a frame of this style of Tai Chi.
mm,
It's a variation of this style of Tai Chi. There are many, there's probably half a dozen variations. This is the Beijing variation. All right. It doesn't mean it's gotten rid of this. It just means it's added some different flavor into it. So it's cooking the same dish.
mm.
It's just added a few different herbs in there, right?
or it's going back, distilling it to the essence.
Or maybe that too, right? Okay, so here is a picture,
Oh yeah, I know this picture. I never
right?
understood it, but I know it.
Okay, so the lines spiraling around his body indicate how they feel chi moving through your body.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and here's the reverse view. And you
Mm-hmm.
can see there's one spiral for the upper arm, one
Mm-hmm.
spiral for the lower arm, same with the legs, same with the trunk, etc., etc. Let me show you a very simple demonstration of that. It's the simplest one I can think of. When you punch in Tai Chi, you don't punch like this. Yes, you start here and you punch here. That's a spiral, right? It's not even 360 degrees. It's 180 degrees from 0 to 180. It's not just your arm. Oh, it's also your trunk. It's also your legs. It's your spine. It's it's everything in the body. That is the signature energy of Chen style Tai Chi and obviously also Hunyan Tai Chi, which is a form of Chen style. Okay, when you do a form, actually when you do anything, but when you do a form, let's say you were, we don't even do this form. We only do the 24. But let's say you're practicing the 83. The 83 takes half an hour to do. From the beginning to the end, for that entire half hour, there is a single thread, a single spiraling thread that moves throughout the body, that's controlled with the mind, that brings the energy out from the center to wherever it is you mean to put it. All right? And you want to grab hold of that thread and ride it all the way from the beginning to the end. You never let it go. All right? In essence, you become that thread. Truly. Okay, when you watch this guy today, watch for the thread. When you say watch the first move, Catherine, have you watched? You've watched him before, yes?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, you're familiar, but I mean, have you really studied it?
Oh yes, I spent
Okay.
hours watching this guy.
Okay. So you spent a lot of time studying. It's like when you study someone who's working at a very high level, like he is, it just can be overwhelming what he's doing. Oh, he's doing this and he's doing that, and he's this move is this, and blah, 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 blah. How do I just had a student online ask me, how the hell do you remember everything? How do you remember what your feet are doing, your hands are doing, your elbows are doing? The truth is, you never think about it. What you think about is the thread. If you can grab hold of that thread, everything else will just happen naturally. So when you watch him, you're just going to have to experience this. When you watch him, watch for the thread. Now, in my opinion, he's doing several things in this form that he's doing. One of them, he's doing a tribute for Master Feng. And to my mind, when he's going like this, he's saying thank you to Master Feng. All right? I can see it in his brain. But then when he's doing the form, he's following that thread and he's demonstrating it. He's not teaching in words. He's teaching through his movement. But to catch the spirals is a little tricky, especially at first. Some of the spirals are big, right? But most of the spirals are very subtle. My teacher used to say, if I don't show you, you won't see it. It's too subtle. Grandmaster Fung used to say the same thing. I'll slow down and I'll exaggerate them a little bit so you will see them. Otherwise they'll just go over your head. So when you watch him, it becomes even more difficult because he's got all those fancy clothes on. Mm. And that covers a lot of his body. It makes it a little more difficult to see. Ideally, what you should be watching is everything, his whole body, right? And look for the spirals in the whole body. But that, particularly in the first move, that'll be rather difficult. So instead, watch his hands, right? Now, his hands are not going to be doing this.
No, yeah, no.
They're going to be doing this. Oh, it's very subtle. It's just a little bit of the spiral, just a touch. But watch his hands and see if you can start to pick this up and see if you can start to make sense of why he's doing them, when he's doing them, and how he's doing them. Because there's a very simple set of rules for doing this, if you want to call them rules. And you just have to watch and see if you can grab this. So I'm going to put this on, and I'll put it on a loop, and we'll watch the first 1 minute and 24 seconds of the form. And we're going to watch it 10 times in a row. And you can watch, you can participate, you can do anything you want. But see if you can grab that thread of silk reeling that ties everything in the movement together. So here's the thing. If you can find that thread, if you can train yourself to see it and to understand it and to do it, you can forget almost everything else because it's all in the thread. And when you do the form, from the very first moment of the form until the end, you live on that thread, and it just simplifies everything. Because the natural movements of the human body are all on the thread. That's kind of a poetic way to say it, but honestly, that's truly the way it is. Otherwise, there's, my God, how do I, well, you can't. You can't. Nobody can do it. Nobody wants to do it. All right? So instead, all right, hold on to the thread. Did you see this hand?
Mm-hmm.
As long as you know about that thread, it's easy. All right, let me cue this up. watch his hands. Catherine, did you see it?
Of course not, but I saw other things.
It's
It's beautiful. Not only his hands, but just his arms at some moments are just like slightly turning. I mean, it's so
Yes.
subtle. It's
Yes,
amazing.
it's very subtle. It's very natural. It's not something that he's doing as an ornament.
Mm-mm.
It's just natural movement, but it's conscious natural movement. It's very difficult to do conscious natural movement without trying to control it. He's not controlling it, but he's still conscious of it. That's a good trick. That's a real Zen trick. To be conscious is to be, but not to control, is to be in the moment. When you try to control, there's you up here, and then there's the thing you're trying to control down there. And now you're in a different time than this.
Mhm.
It doesn't work.
Mm.
It works for politicians, but it doesn't work for real people. Right?
Have you told Catherine the Bruce Lee quote that you,
Well, I don't remember it.
the stillness and the
Oh,
stillness?
that's not, well, Bruce Lee may have used that, but that's not Bruce Lee. The stillness in stillness is not the real stillness. Only when there's stillness in movement will the spiritual rhythm appear that pervades heaven and earth. The stillness in stillness is not the real stillness.
I need at least 20 lives to master that.
Watch, I'll try and do what he was doing. Now, his first move is the classic Hunyan first move. He's doing exactly what we do.
No,
Oh yeah.
there is not the first move of the first move. I don't think he does it like we do.
Yes, he does. He does it exactly like we do. Now,
Okay.
Catherine, I may have confused you because I teach and include some of the second move in the first move. So this part, and I say that's all the first move. It's not. It's actually the second move. Yes, Kevin.
I think maybe, Catherine, you're talking about the first pung that we do before we go.
Yeah, exactly.
That's very, very subtle, but it's still there.
It's there.
Okay.
Now,
Okay.
when you watch, no, this is exactly what you can get out of watching this stuff, is to realize everybody does the form differently. You have to. When you play a piece of music, you are going to play it your way. You have no choice. Because whatever you're going to play is based on your experience and your ability and your understanding.
Yeah, but the difference is that he doesn't do it. He is the movement.
Well, he is a very unusual practitioner because what he's bringing to Tai Chi is the ability to be in the moment. That's his Zen training.
Yeah, it's why I said he is the move. I mean, he's nothing else at this moment.
Master Feng also is the same way, but his Tai Chi is completely different. Now, if you really understand the form, you realize, well, they're doing the same thing, but they're doing it in two completely different ways. So it might be like a famous European song that's 500 years old. They play it one way in Germany, they play it a different way in Italy, they play it a different way in France, they play it a different way in Austria. But it's all the same song. But boy, it doesn't sound the same. It sounds really different. The question is not what's the right way. There is no right way. The right way is your way.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, yeah. Well, I mean, what I'm fascinated by is the fact that to me he doesn't. I'm going to repeat myself, but he doesn't do it. He is.
It? Yes.
Nothing else. I mean,
yes. And well, you can certainly work toward that. Absolutely. I think in a lot of ways that's what the goal of Hunyan Tai Chi is what he has is I call flow.
Yeah, definitely.
Has flow. It's the same as being fluent. Right? To be fluent means to have flow. Right? He has flow. There's a kind of authenticity. There's a kind of honesty and being in the moment that he has that's very rare.
Yeah, I want to be like that. Maybe not in this life, but in another life.
He's doing it without trying to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Wow. I don't know if do you remember Yoda from the original Star Wars? There is no try. There's only do. Right? That's what he was saying, and he's absolutely right. Now, Okay, we are all students. So, yes, it's true. Okay, maybe we're going for that really high level stuff. But today, let's just work on something kind of at the level where we really are, which is, to me, watching this, is to pick up on his CHANSIGONG, because that's what I see him demonstrating, because that's what he's doing. I mean, in a sense, he's not demonstrating; he's just doing it. Right? Watch the hands, right? So he comes down, and the hands open slightly, and then they close, and now they turn, and again they come down, and again they turn, and then they turn again. What happens to your body when you do this? Now, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but
You
right?
close and
I also don't have this beautiful clothes on. What happens to your body when you make this tiny little movement?
you open and you close.
Yes, opening and closing. That's one of the dozen primary motions of the human body. It's maybe the primary motion. Open, close, open, close, open, close. So there's a lot of that in this first move. And that opening and closing, that's all spiral. It's not the hands, it's
No.
the body. So what you can get from this first move, watching him, is even in this, the first move is one of the simplest moves in the form. But my teacher used to say to the class in Chinese, and then it got translated, if you can truly get this first move, you will get all of Tai Chi, because it's all in the first move. All right. So, my God, what do you mean? Some of the moves are, right? Some of the moves seem, seem much more complicated. How can everything in that move be in the first move, which is so simple? It's because all the principles are there.
Well, actually, when you look at him, when you observe him, it's not easy, even this first move.
No.
Because the details that, I mean, there are like so many details.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And what I'm trying to express, you're right. This is a simple move, but my God, there are all these details. How do you say my God in French?
Mon Dieu.
Mon Dieu! Ah! Right? So many details. How can you track all those? You can't. It's not possible. So how do you do the move?
You are the move.
Well, yes, right. But how do you get from here to there?
Practice.
You just practice.
And practice, yes, yes. But what I'm trying to say is, there's something you can do that will simplify that huge array of things. And what it is silk reeling. Right? When you catch hold of that thread, it's like a thread. I mean, that's poetry, but that's what it's like. When you catch hold of that, oh, just keep following it. It's There's some complexity to it. You do have to learn it. It does take time. I mean, obviously it takes time. You don't introduce this to students the first day. It's too high level. They would just get lost. All right. This is probably a little early for you, Catherine. You know, I'm only introducing this to people in the advanced class that have learned the whole form and have gone through it 3 or 4 times. So all that stuff's in the past. All right. Maybe they don't do the form very well, but they know the form, right? So they've got the form. Oh, now introduce this. All right. This simple little idea. All right. That's all he's doing. Spiral, spiral, spiral. If you can grab hold of that, everything else just comes with it. Isn't that what he just did?
Yeah, a spiral is not easy to do.
Oh
no, it's very easy to do. It's
it is,
in
yeah.
the world.
It is very easy to do once you realize how that's you got to calm down enough and get when you're full with Tai Chi at the start, and then you learn some of the choreography and you get some little bit of headspace, and then you can start playing with this stuff because you can relax enough for the form to feel the movement. And I can't do it, but I can certainly see it now.
Everybody always asks, and I can remember asking myself and all the guys that I started in class with, like Michael and um, all Michael and Michael and Michael. There were a bunch of them. Right? All asked the same thing: how the hell do you ever relax? There's just so much to remember and to do, and all this. This is the answer. Well, you just keep learning. You just keep learning. You just keep practicing. You've got to get the experience, and when you have enough experience gathered together, then if you have a good teacher, the teacher is going to say, "Okay, now you've got all this experience, right? Watch." Wasn't that an easy motion?
But when you do it, do you think of spiral, or you just do it naturally?
For me, that was absolutely natural. What? No, no, serious. This is a really important point because Tai Chi does not ask you to do anything that's not natural. Sometimes the movements are complex, but they're always natural. All right? Watch my. Now I'm exaggerating. I don't actually do the form like I just showed you. I'm exaggerating a little bit to make it, But what are you doing? Do you see any strain? Now, if Master Feng was doing it, it would look like this. Or Master Zhang, my teacher. It's much more martial.
I prefer the first.
What's that?
I prefer the other one, the other way.
Either way is fine. Let me demonstrate them both. Look for the commonalities. Look for the spiral. It's exactly the same spiral. All right? I'm going to exaggerate the first one. Now I'm going to do it like Feng would do it. It's the same thing. Feng was also doing exactly the same spirals. The only difference is his spirals were so subtle you can't see them. Now, if you're very, very experienced, if you've got 20 or 30 years of experience, okay, then you see them. All right? The reason Feng was so powerful was his spirals were so subtle. Why does that make him powerful? Because it's efficient. If I go like this, that takes a lot more time and energy than if I go like that. That and this are the same movement. One's not right or wrong. Being Master Feng is not the goal. All right?
I just want to be myself. Yeah.
Exactly. The goal is just to learn the underlying spirals and then you do them your way. But you're doing them in a way that is informed. It's not random. These are not random spirals. They may be very relaxed, right? But they're not random. They're following the martial Xin Yi, the martial intention, the pattern of the mind. And they're powered by the pattern of the energy body following the pattern of the mind. All right? When you do this, what are you doing? All right? You're coming a little bit up into your Tanzhong. Right? When you go like this, what are you doing? You're dropping from your Tanzhong into your Mingmen in the back. All right? Now I'm up in my Tanzhong again. Now I'm in my Mingmen in the back. You need to know that. That's the inside. The inside and the outside are one. I don't know about in France. I'm going to guess in France, right? In the United States, they will not teach you that because most of them don't know it. All they teach you is this.
Yes, yeah, I don't want that.
There's nothing on the inside. It's empty. My teacher hated that. Bushuan. Bushuan. I do not like. I do not like empty Tai Chi. I figured out Bushuan. I figured out what that means pretty quick. I don't like it. He didn't like empty Tai Chi. He would rather you, far, far rather you did it badly or did it wrong as long as it wasn't empty. If you're doing it wrong, you're learning. You do it badly, you're in the process of learning. There's nothing wrong with that. But to think that you understand Tai Chi when there's no Tai Chi on the inside, that's just, for him, that was inexcusable. That meant you had a bad teacher. Because your teacher did not inspire you to go into the center, into the heart of things. And does it take a long time to learn all that? Yeah. Yeah. But guys, think of any art or craft. I don't care what it is. Cooking, woodworking, bookmaking. How many years does it take to become really good at it? Takes some time.
Yeah, it does.
And even then, how many bookmakers are there in the world? Versus how many of them are great? A small handful are great. That's just the way it goes. It's the way it goes with everything. But that doesn't mean you can't be great. You just need a really good teacher.
And to be a really good student.
Well, you know what, guys? Honestly, it's a collaboration. And in my book, you two are good students. You know why you're good students? Because you keep showing up.
Showing up, yeah.
That's
not enough.
that's the number one quality you have to have. You just keep showing up and working on it. The truth is, every Tai Chi teacher knows this. 100 students might start with you. 99 of them will never get anywhere. 99 out of 100 will come in, they'll get something. They'll get something that's worthwhile, and then they'll go on and they'll go on with their lives. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But the students that really inspire you as a teacher are very rare. Maybe 1 out of 100.
That's not much.
But it's true for every teacher. So if you're Master Feng, who had a lot of students, including he had many students, many high-level students. They didn't come to classes. They were already martial artists. They had their own schools. They would just come and do private lessons with him. So maybe he had, over the course of the years, maybe he had 10,000 students. Of those 10,000 students, maybe 100 of them were good. Really good. Really learned something. Really took something and did something with it. Maybe it was only 10. Maybe it was only 3. After Master Zhang retired, he said to me one, he didn't actually say it to me. I was just in a small group of people. His wife was there, etc., etc. And he said something in Chinese. And all of us who did speak Chinese said, what did he say? What did he say? And Mrs. Young said, he said he only had 2 real students. He had hundreds of students. He only had 2 real ones. Brian Guan, Catherine, you don't know Brian, but Kevin knows him. Brian Guan.
And you.
And I'll let you guess about the other one. That's just the way it goes. That doesn't mean that he looked down on the other students or he didn't feel they were good students. You know, when you're a teacher, you appreciate everybody who comes into your class because they're there for a reason. They may not be there to become the world's greatest Tai Chi master or even to conquer Tai Chi. They're there for some reason. And maybe that reason only lasts 6 months or 2 years. And then they've gotten what they need. They haven't necessarily become top in Tai Chi, but they've got what they need and they go on. So what's wrong with that? That's the way the world is. Someone might come to a teacher who's a bookmaker, and they take some classes with this person and they learn some stuff. Oh, they have a good time and they're in community with their friends and they have a good time and they make some stuff and it's not great, but it's not awful either, and they learn something, they get something out of it, and then they leave. That doesn't make them bad students.
Well, it's frustrating.
What's that?
It's frustrating.
Not everybody is in the right place in their life to
That's true.
to do these things. I'll tell you guys. You want to know how I made it? How I made it work? Right? I inherited some money, and I used that money to do this. If I hadn't inherited that money, I would not have had the time or the resources to do this.
That's interesting.
And well, does that mean I'm a bad person or I'm a bad student? No, it's just I would have had certain limitations that I was able to overcome because I had these resources from my family. Now all that money's gone and I have to do something else. But that's what I used it for. That's what I bought with it. Master Zhang came to the United States, well, let's say, to simplify the story, he came in 1990. I met him in 1992 and I worked with him then for 20 years. He couldn't do that now. China's closed. There was a window of opportunity where certain masters came from China to the United States. He was really the first big master who came. There were others who came later. Actually moved. They didn't actually move to the United States. They moved to Canada. It was easier to move to Canada. But all that stopped now because China and the United States are like this. So there was one 30-year period where it was possible to do this, and now it's over. It was not possible before that. It's not possible now. There was one window of opportunity. It's just the way the world is. But what you guys need to do, right, when you're watching that is watch. Open, close, open, close. Oh, so simple. And it feels really good. It feels really good in the body. And it just simplifies everything. Oh, there's that thread. I can feel it. I can do it really big like he does it. Or I can do it very, very subtly like Master Feng does it. Yeah, Kevin.
Just one small phrase of advice is feel it, don't force it.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no forcing. You can be big, you can be small. Doesn't matter, but you're not forcing anything.
Yeah,
You're just exploring the range of motion.
yeah, I used to force it and it didn't do me any good. And now I'm just feeling it and I'm having a much easier time.
Forcing it can actually, particularly when you are looking at this as a form of Qigong, forcing things like that can actually make you sick. There's a very well known syndrome in China. That's called, what do they call it? I can't remember the Chinese.
Chi psychosis.
In English, no, they do. In English, they translate it as chi psychosis. And what it's caused by, it's not caused by Tai Chi or Qigong. It's caused by trying to force things. And of course, if imagine you're doing yoga and you're just forcing everything, you're going to hurt yourself. You're going to drive yourself a little crazy. And that's basically what it is. You don't get yoga or Tai Chi by forcing it. You get it by relaxing. And the secret to relaxing in Tai Chi is that golden thread of silk reeling. Right? Does anything look more relaxed than this? you can feel those threads. They call it silk reeling. They're referring to the process of making silk. And their silk reeling is when you have unbundled the threads of silk from the cocoons and you're winding it on a big wheel. All right? The reason they use that metaphor is that's what it feels like in your body. It feels like, oh, like threads of silk. Right? You can feel inside your body. It's so relaxing. Okay, guys, I'm sorry I've kept you over time a little bit. All right.
It's okay. It was very interesting.
Well,
I'm very relaxed right now.
good. I'm glad to hear it. All right. You guys have yourselves a great day. We'll see you next time. Ciao.